Hello, hello. Can you hear me? Can you see me? Can you feel it? Can you feel it? Can you feel it? As Michael Jackson would say. Yes, Mandy and Lizzie, the two glorious spanners. Marvellous. Thank you very much. So everything's loud enough, and unfortunately I'm filling the screen as well at the same time. That's good to know. I am going to try a few things. I wonder if Botrix is going to turn up today. It doesn't look like it at the moment, does it? Despite the fact that I've actually tried to sort that out. But then, Botrix is as Botrix does. It might take a little while to show up, which is a shame. Yes, there may be a split in the time and space as a result of this. So, I did warn you, like you said, I did warn you earlier. Yes. F the government and F Botrix. I agree with that completely. I don't know why he was working last time, but isn't now. Oh, hang on, he is in the corner, I can see. Yes, there you go. Botrix is working. Hopefully the points will start accruing again then. He might pop up in the chat, but I think he'll have a different name this time as well. Right, here we go. Let's have some fun. The chatbot is here to keep you company. Very forward, isn't he? Very forward, I find. Slow but forward. It's no bad thing. Right, so we'll start off with that bizarre documentary being shown in Holland yesterday. I got sent a photo from someone who sat watching it live on TV. And it was the picture that I put in the RDA chat of me holding a fish when I was 10 or 11 years of age, I think it must have been. So bizarre to think that it was 1985, we moved back to England, and there's people who are still interested in my dad's career and how he's doing now. And I know from what you said yourselves in the chat, and also what people in Holland have said to us, and the people who've seen it on YouTube where it's been uploaded by someone other than myself, they've all seemed to have liked it. They thought it went quite well, so I'm delighted with that, because I think my dad's a fantastic fella, he really is. And the fact that it's come across that way, it's no surprise to me. But Dirk, the fella who did the documentary, ended up being a real top fella, and he seemed to get on really well and like spending time with the family. Seems to be that it's been a bit of a, not a passion project, but something that he wanted to make sure he got right. He had a great time while he was here. We had a laugh with him being here and tried to make him feel as welcome as possible. And I think that feeling comes across in the documentary. I haven't seen the final cut of it yet. The ones we've seen apparently weren't that much different to the final, but I'll have to watch it at some point this week. Oh, yes, Lizzie, my dad's fantastic. Big old Cuddly Bill. Funnily enough, he got that nickname in the pup that we had, the George, Cuddly Bill. Despite the fact that he's quite a fearsome kind of person, he's also got the longest fuse that you could possibly have. Never loses temper with people. Whenever he had to bar people out of the pub, he'd never do it in front of everyone. He'd always kitchen them, as we called it. So if someone came in and they weren't allowed to be served, if they come in, send them through to the kitchen. And as soon as he said that to someone, my dad wants to see it in the kitchen. He knew what was happening next, but he always made sure he'd done it out of the way of people, so it didn't belittle them. And I think they really appreciated that. Just that little bit of thought. That's exactly what he's like. So it's no surprise to me that he come across well in the documentary. I don't know if Jess it will pop up tonight. I didn't say I was popping on myself. I seen her earlier on. I dropped her off at work this morning, airing the mates. But I was expecting to have to pick her up, because we've been having rained heavily earlier on, and we'd have reports of thunder and lightning and really, really horrible weather. and yet from 4 till 6:30, 7 o'clock, it was lovely. So I think they must have walked home, all the girls. So I've not seen her, and I don't know if she's seen the notification. But this is a good little experiment to see if my own daughter has got the notifications turned on. And if she hasn't, I will sell her into slavery in Azerbaijan. Yes, Lizzie, he is very, very kind, very empathetic. That's something I hope I've picked up off him. I think both my parents are like that. It was never a really strict household. I was never being told off. I think I was a good boy growing up because I was in a happy household. I never had anything to rally against, apart from the fact that I was a little bit naughty at times, cheeky more than naughty, with my sense of humour. One of the stories my mum likes to tell was that my dad was playing for a top division football team. It was before Premier League, so he wasn't on ridiculous money, but he was on probably a bit more than the average person in the street. And the press used to like going after footballers even back then. And there was one day that my mum came out of the house in Middlesbrough and caught me rummaging in the bin. Now, I'd lost a toy car, and I was absolutely obsessed with cars as a kid, like I still am as an adult. But my toy cars, I knew exactly how many I had, what colours they were, what makes they were, whereabout they should be in the house. And one went missing, so I went looking for it in the bin in case my mum had dropped it or thrown it out accidentally. And when my mum came out and saw me doing that, the neighbour come out at the same time. And my mum, being my mum, sort of like hyacinth bouquet, what are you doing, what are you doing? So me, of course, I just went, but Mum, I'm so hungry. And she absolutely hit the roof because obviously it could have got into the press. You know, sort of Premier League footballer is abusing his child by not feeding him. I thought it was funny, but, you know, I don't think my mum did, although she does now because she tells the story. So that's the way I was. Hiya Steve, how you doing, mate? I was not scally actually. I've been really lucky, genuinely lucky, with the fact that we lived away from Liverpool for so long. Coming back home every weekend, I was still hanging around with my mates, but some of them got into a little bit of trouble. I wasn't with them all the time, so I didn't fall into that same kind of behaviour. And then when we moved back to England in 1985, I got put in the top set at school for everything, so I was with some of the more intelligent and swotty type people. And it turned out to be a fantastic thing because while everyone else was up to no good and there was people in our school that were done for, you know, joyriding and drugs and all kinds of stuff, all we did, we were all into music, so we go to each other's houses and play albums and introduce each other to music. And my mate Eddie could play keyboard. For me, he was an absolute wizard. I mean, I've never heard anyone at the age of 14, 15 be that good. I was surprised that he never made it in music because he's an absolute genius. And he can play guitar and he can sing and all kinds. So there was Neil, he bought a set of drums, but he played bass and played guitar as well. And me playing guitar and bass and generally making a racket. So we used to do that all the time. Didn't need to go out robbing cars to get thrills because Neil's mum and dad used to let us play music as loud as we wanted in their house, and the neighbour was great as well. She was happy the fact that we were all just not on the streets, just playing music and not up to no good. So I think I've been quite lucky. I don't think I'd have fallen down that path, but I think it was lucky that I fell in with the right crowd at the right time that fitted the kind of person that I am. And I think I've been lucky that way all the way through. Whether that's by design or by luck or by just the fact that my dad was a footballer, so he used to have to behave myself all the time. When you're in the players' lounge after the game with loads of people that have been on the telly, famous people, you have a habit of keeping your mouth shut when your dad goes, oi, behave. Yeah, all right, I will. That's that person off the telly. Well, yeah, my dad's that person off the telly as well, but you know. But I was bilingual, and by the time I finished school, I was more than bilingual. It was quadrilingual, which I'm now struggling with English. But yeah, English, Dutch, German, and Spanish. And I wish I was as good at them as I was when I was, I don't know, 15ish. Steve, it wasn't the summer of '69, but I did play my guitar till my fingers bled. And being the typically pain in the arse that I am, instead of learning on a 6 string, I learned on a 12 string. So instead of having just that one little ridge at the end of your fingers, I had two. So I got double calluses, and trying to play lead on a 12 string was a nightmare, but I learned. And I'm now at that point where I wish I could pick a guitar up again now, because I really do miss it. I spent years just pissing about on PlayStations and watching TV with a guitar sat next to me gathering dust, and now I just wish I could pick it up and play it, because I miss that, just that little bit of expression. Which I've got the keyboard there, MIDI keyboard, but it's not as natural for me. I can get a tune out of it, I can make a couple of beats and what have you, but it's not the same as just picking an acoustic up, feeling it vibrate through your chest. And I'm at one with the guitar, man, because I've been playing it for so long. Oh yeah, Botrix is showing my name. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And yes, Nick really is that needy. He knows his stuff, doesn't he? Botniks. I will get there, Lizzie. I will definitely get there. It's going to take a while. Like I said in the last stream, I spoke to the occupational therapist about the improvements that I'm making and what I'm doing to improve. And as you can see, huge improvements in movement and a little bit of strength. It looks, sort of for her, it looks night and day. For me, I can see the improvements as well, but I still can't use the hands, so I'm still miles away from being able to do that, especially for something that requires strength and dexterity, like playing a guitar. That dexterity is going to be the last thing to come. I think the strength will be there at some point. Or me theraputty sitting there on the sofa with this theraputty thing, squeezing it and making it into a sausage and then squeezing it, and then no, not like that. Hadden we? Goedenavond, hoe gaat het met je? Ben je goed? Yeah. Oh, Steve, Jimmy Page, I wish. When I first started playing, I tried to learn when I was 9, when we were in Holland, in the Netherlands, sorry, not Holland, so don't do that again, Nick. Yeah, I tried to learn when I was 9, and I could play C, D and E, but I couldn't play F because my fingers were too small and not strong enough. And so I jibbed it. And I wish I'd have carried on at that point, because I tried again on my 15th birthday. We lived in a pub, and on the ale for my 15th, obviously because I'm from Liverpool, I just said to my dad, can you teach me again? And he showed me a few chords, give me the Beatles complete chord book. Left me to it, and then within the space of 2 weeks I was playing Eric Clapton solos, because at that point I was obsessed with music and I wanted to learn, and I was massive, so my fingers were sound and I could get on with it. And again, if anyone's got kids or grandkids or nieces, nephews, anything like that, if you're ever struggling to buy them something for Christmas, birthdays, just buy a cheap guitar. I bought my daughter one from Argos for 40 quid. A heap of shit I wouldn't have bought at all. But I thought, just get a cheap one, let her play with it. If it goes in the cupboard after a week, then she can just smash it to pieces and throw it in the bin. No, I'm done. She stuck with it. And then when she ended up getting a summer job last summer, or the summer before, was it? Last summer. The first week that she did, she got paid. She went out and bought herself a new Fender acoustic guitar. And I was buzzing with that, because she was taking it serious. And it was something I'd given to her that will be with her for the rest of her life. Once you've learned to play, it's always there. You'll always be able to play unless you end up with an issue like I've got. So it's something she can always take with her. And the fact that the first pay slip that she had, she didn't go and do what a normal teenage girl would go and do, and buy loads of clothes and makeup, or go with her mates to Nando's and just, have fun. She went and bought the guitar, which means that she could have fun at home playing guitar of a night, 7 days a week, not just one day out with her mates. I was delighted for that. So proud of her. And then for Christmas, yeah, it was last year. So for Christmas, just gone, I bought her an electric guitar, an amp, which her mum was absolutely delighted with, obviously, because now she can make loads of noise. bought a distortion pedal so it makes it sound even louder. And again, it's something that I've got a Marshall amp. Now, I bought this in 1989 or 1990. I think it was 89. And it was second hand then. But it was only 3 or 4 years old. So it was fairly new. Now, because I've had it so long, it's now a vintage amp. It needs to be fixed. It needs to be made safe because I'm not 100% sure the electrics are spot on with it. But that's something that she's going to have. I'll get it sorted out. There's a fella in Warrington, and I couldn't get it done because I couldn't get there. But now I've got the car, I should be able to get there. Warrington's not that far away. I'll go and get that sorted, I think, and she can have that. Because it's a proper old, vintage, 1980s Marshall amp. Which, and of course, it doesn't matter what kind of amp you're really into, but a Marshall amp just looks rock and roll, like, boss. Mandy, you've had yours since 1987 and still can't play. Learn. It's not that difficult. There's a brilliant thing called YouTube. You'd be surprised what you can find out on there. People will teach you how to play, and it really is. It's a steep learning curve, but it does plateau fairly quickly once you learn the first little basics and get yourself into it and get the strength up. It's you'll be sound, and then you'll be able to make your own videos of you playing and singing. You'll be the next Spencer. You go all the way, man. You've still not leveled up. Botrix, what you playing at, lad? I hope I haven't messed around with the settings because I had to go back into it earlier to fix it. But there is a cheat mode. There is. There's something that you can use your points against prizes, but I'd have to come up with some kind of prizes, so I don't know what they're going to be. Maybe we could have a tiering system. We could start off with, the red potato, work our way through the rainbow up to, and then, I don't know, bronze, silver, gold potato, platinum potato. We could have anything. So, yeah. But it's something I'm going to have to look into because Botrix seems to be a bit of a beta thing, which it seems to be working okay for the chat on the screen. But there's not a huge amount of stuff about it, what it does, how you're supposed to get it to work. And all the videos that I can find on YouTube are how to use it with Kick. And I'm not on Kick. Despite the fact that they've just started sponsoring the Everton sleeves. Which is great because it's now a youth type thing, but also Kick is just Stake, which is the same people that we've got on the front of the shirt. And they're a gambling company, which we don't really want. We need to get rid of gambling out of football. You can't really start giving people like Ivan Toney huge bans for gambling when 75% of the football shirts have got some kind of gambling on them. So that needs to be sorted out. And I wish we go and get something a bit more suitable. Steve, we are allowed to talk sport because I'm in charge here. But I'm not going to go too heavy into sport. But yeah, Kick, it looks pretty good on the shirt, to be honest. The shirts look alright. I'm still not going to buy one. The only thing I ever buy is shorts to play five-a-side in, and I'm not doing that anymore, so I'm not going to buy shorts, am I? Shame. Oh, I do miss that. That's another thing. All the stuff that I've got, all the bits and pieces that I used to do to get things out of my system, all seem to be things I can't do now. It's stupid. Playing five-a-side, there's nothing like volleying a ball as hard as you can to get some of that anger out your system. Or playing guitar, or playing on my PlayStation, or going to watch the match. It's all things I haven't done for a long time. I am going to the first home game this season. I am going to have to try and find a place to park that's closer to the stadium because I'm not going to be able to walk a huge distance. And then get up all those stairs. Oh man, I'm not looking forward to them. My therapist and my physio asked me how many stairs it was. and I only got to one, two effing many, because I can't remember how many they are, but there are a lot of stairs. Concrete ones, which I think will hurt. Every bounce on the way down will hurt, but I'm going to go and do it. Yes, hadden we Nederland against Zuid-Afrika. 4 o'clock at night. That's one of the problems about anything being in Australia. I mean, it used to be all right for me when I was like working in the pub or I was doing late shifts, being able to watch the Ashes until 5, 6 o'clock in the morning. I used to love that, but the footy and stuff like that's just no. I'm not getting up to watch a game at 3, 4 in the morning. Not a chance. Looked adorable as a kid. I know what's happened. I looked at some of those pictures back then and I looked so bright-eyed and innocent. I know time just, it hits every one of us, but oh man. The ginger hair as well. Proper ginge. There's a picture of me I've got somewhere in a Middlesbrough kit on my birthday. How old was I? 8. 7 or 8. Don't think I was 9. It must have been 8. And I've got the skinniest legs you've ever seen in your life. They look like they should be hanging out of a nest. Mop of ginger hair. I couldn't look any more 70s or 80s if you tried. Lizzie is level 3. Mandy, you're not back at level 2 or anything yet. How's this working and why is it not working? Something's got to be sorted out. I need to have a word with Botrix. I need to find out how to do this anyway. And try and work out what kind of stuff I can give away as prizes and how you'd redeem them, because how do you redeem Botrix points? Is there a website for it? Just do it in the chat. There must be some way of doing it. My haircut was cool. It probably was in hindsight, Lizzie. I don't think it was at the time. I didn't feel like it was at the time. There's a picture of me when I was at school, which I might drop in the RDA. When I was 14 or 15, with my schoolmates, and obviously I was the tallest one by a distance, and my hair, I thought, looked a mess, but it comes across as looking all right at that point. I've got my tie back to front, so I've got the fat end pushed in and the skinny bit down, because that's how everyone had them back then. A pair of Farrakeks, pod shoes. I think I had just a normal jumper, but I used to wear Lyle and Scott golfing jumpers to school. It was a huge thing in Liverpool back in the 80s. Steve, you can link it to your nectar points, definitely. Just being in this chat will get you money off your bananas. Sorted, mate. Happy days. Do you know what? At some point, I reckon stuff like that will come in. That you will be able to gain points with your favourite streamer or your favourite YouTuber or whoever it is, your favourite Mr. Beast, whoever. Because I know he does his own stuff, doesn't he? He's got his own merchandise, but in shops now, I think. Is it food that he's doing? I reckon if you get enough watch hours with them, you get a voucher to use on his food. That's got to be coming soon, hasn't it? Or KSI and Logan Paul or Jake Paul, whichever one of those idiots it is, with Prime. No idea why they're doing it, but obviously they are, because they're doing it for money. Man, that's not very nice. Kick me in the Botrix. Sounds really painful, that. Has he said anything? Apart from Lizzie level up. Someone's going to get there. I definitely need to look into this, don't I? Why is there no material out there on Botrix? Why is there nothing, even on the website itself? This is what you do. Nothing at all. Everything's got to be learned, or I've got to take what people are doing on Kick and see if I can put it onto YouTube. There's also loads of stuff about Twitch and Botrix, but Twitch works different to this by the look of it. He does keep telling us that I'm needy, because I am needy when it comes to that. I actually had to write that little bit of script myself, so bit of faux modesty or whatever. But yeah, obviously, I am needy. All the likes, all the chat. That's what it's all about, man. Interaction with the community, and I'm so glad. I've said before, and I'll say it again. I'm so glad that I accidentally stumbled upon this community. Thanks to Dan and Arius and the Nation, and just jumping in and saying, well, I didn't even say hello. I just put something in, and next thing you know, loads of people were saying hello to me. And yeah, all of a sudden you're part of a community. It's fantastic, that. Definitely, I don't think being monetized or having ads in your videos comes close to giving the same satisfaction as being part of a genuinely nice community of people. So no matter what happens, I think I'd rather have the community. There's a space missing. Well, I will go in and I will amend the space. I will give Botrix a pimp slap. Sort him out. Botrix should be proofreading these things. Why is it 2023 and I've got to tell AI where they're getting things wrong? Not on, not happening. It is, Lizzie, it's a beautiful thing. I think it's fantastic. How do we say that we all stumbled? I think we did, and maybe it was done for a reason. We all needed somewhere to be without knowing where that somewhere was, and we've been lucky enough to find it. I'm genuinely grateful every time I open RDA and see the lunacy that's going on in there, that I know that if I'm ever feeling a bit down or need a little bit of company, it's there, right there. There's always someone. Kirsty, welcome, hello. Yeah, it's fantastic. And the support. I know, I've spoken to Daniel a few times about it. I know he absolutely loves the fact that there's so much support. And even with what's happening just now, moving channels, no one's moaned about it. No one's complained, or everyone knows the reason why it had to be done. They've all just got behind him. And I think I find the same thing with myself. No matter what I do, there's always support there. No one's ever moaning or just being nasty for the sake of being nasty. If someone's got a comment on something I've done, it's always constructive. And that is very rare nowadays. It's very few and far between. Yes, Steve, the moving channels, the Bruin Banter seems to be getting absolutely inundated with music requests. So he's just got a separate channel for the Bruin Banters now, so it's a little bit less hectic, and they haven't got people just constantly screaming. There you go, Mandy. See, speak and Botrix will provide. Just set up that second or the other channel to make sure that it's just about being able to interact with people. Because it is literally at the moment, it is just every time you go into one of the lives, it was, we tried this song, this song, this song, this song, and that's what happens when you get thousands of people, I suppose, following you. They're all in the chat, all want to get their point across, all want their suggestions to get across. It was like the Matrix at times, just text flowing quickly. And then that's exactly why we spoke earlier on, the reason why they couldn't do it with Embrace the Suck. When you've got 100,000 subscribers, if you try to do something like that, the live stream with that many people, it would be insane. I've seen it with a few other people when I've been on their lives, and you can't even read one line of text because it just goes so quickly. So, yeah, better to keep things. It's unplugged, and I think it suits up what he's trying to do. It is just, it's acoustic. Bruin Bant's acoustic. Bit more mellow. Cafe club vibe. Candles on the tables. No spotlights. Nice and chilled. I won't give the name away, Steve, don't worry about that. But yeah, Bot's a sadist. Prefers the carrot to the stick. Carrots more healthy, aren't they, than sticks? In theory. Although, what do you do when beating them with the stick doesn't work? Beat them with the carrot, obviously. Yeah, I've seen a few people who've hit that sort of, I don't want to call it a tipping point, where But it is a sort of tipping point with it's a community, then it's just subscribers, it's numbers. You lose your way once you hit a certain amount of numbers, I think. And as much as it'd be nice to be monetized on channels, it must be fantastic. I think you're losing that little bit of something when it's more numbers rather than people. And it'd be nice to have that balance, which I think, again, what Dan's trying to do with having the smaller offshoot and his larger channel that you can hammer the music with, which seems to be working really well for him, thankfully. Water. Keep forgetting I've got that there and I'm sat here struggling. Oh. Right, no, I'm not gonna touch a pen, but I'm gonna have to find out, Botrix, what's going on and how do I sort this out. If anyone's got any ideas of what I can give away, anyone's been part of any other channels where they do stuff like this, giveaways. I haven't got any merch, obviously, so I can't do that. I'm wondering what is it other people do. I know on Twitch they give away sort of little avatars and alerts and what have you, but I don't think that would work on YouTube. Twitch, I don't think I'd be ready to go on Twitch. That's more gaming, isn't it? I know they've got some channels where it's just people talking, but yeah, most of it's gaming. I know Harris Heller does some stuff on Twitch as well. He's one of my favourite people on YouTube. Learned more from watching his stuff than I've done from watching a lot of other so-called experts, just on the technical side of things. And I can't get Botrix to work, you know what I mean? But yeah, the technical side of things, he seems to know what he's talking about and gets it across in a decent way. I don't mind listening to him. How do we give away friendship and love? I do that every day. Every day spent with the community is all about friendship and love and peace and vibes and chocolate as well. Yeah, chocolate as well. I wonder, is there a way of giving away chocolate via Botrix? Botrix chocolate? Couldn't even say that then. Drop is also welcome. That's licorice for the uninitiated. Speaking of Dutch, I did my Duolingo again yesterday and it was absolutely full of turtles and schildpadden yet again. They are obsessed. Absolutely obsessed. I don't know what. I know it's all about having to put sentences together, so it doesn't matter what the actual noun is or whatever. It could be anything. It could be a bike. It could be a brick. It could be the moon. It could be anything. But it always seems to be turtles. It's very strange. Potatoes. There's got to be some kind of potato giveaway. I think I might start off with that. See if there's a ranking. A coloured potato ranking, or a type of potato ranking. King Edward at the top. Although, would that be right? He's a king, so I suppose he would be the ruler, but yeah. Got to be something I can do. Otherwise, it's going to have to be stick figure drawings, which I do loads of. Normally when I'm bored, when I'm supposed to be working, I'll just sit there and draw stick figures or little cartoons. And I'm awful at drawing, so they're even better because they're rubbish. Packets to smash. Yeah. They could go through the post easily. Through the letterbox. They wouldn't be dangerous. They wouldn't go off in transit. Speaking of bloody transit, I ordered something off, or bought something on eBay rather, on Wednesday last week I won it at 6 o'clock on Wednesday, and it was posted on Thursday morning with Royal Mail, and I'm really disappointed. So Thursday morning, it's going from Leicester to, well, just north of Liverpool. That was Thursday morning. Early hours of Tuesday morning, it reached North London. I don't know why it took that long to get from Leicester. And now It's supposed to have been delivered yesterday and the day before, and it's still not arrived. And I've got on the tracking app, and it just says we have it. Where? Where's it been? Why is it taking so long? Speedo Mick could have walked to Leicester, picked it up, and walked back in that time, and raised a load of cash at the same time. Ridiculous. Mr. Potato Head, Kirsty, yeah. That has been something that's been floating around. Well, they do float if you drop them in the bath anyway. I think I might need a gold Mr. Potato Head on a plinth. That could be the ultimate prize. Dartford. It's the Princess Royal Sorting Office, somewhere in Northish London. But even so, Leicester to London, it doesn't take that long. You know, I've been through there on a train. It doesn't take that long at all. Speedo Mick, I do not know him, but I know loads of people who do know him. Despite the fact that it's, well, Goodison holds just under 40,000. So you could be going the game with 37,000 Evertonians. I don't know him myself, but there's always someone you know who knows. It is like a family. How do we? Yeah, Speedos. This is a man. Speedo Mick. It's worth Googling. He collects money for charity wearing a pair of Speedos and his boots and a swimming cap and goggles. And he will go to every game wearing just that. Doesn't matter if it's during the summer or, you know, sort of May, August, start of the season, end of the season, or during December, January, freezing cold winter up in Newcastle. He's still wearing his Speedos and he goes around with his buckets collecting money. He's walked from John O'Groats to Land's End and collected money. I think he's collected over £1 million for his charities. Absolutely incredible what he's done. I think looking at his back history, he had problems with being in trouble with the police. He had trouble with drugs, trouble with alcohol, and so he moved to London to get himself away from Liverpool and away from everything. Turned his life around and is now giving something back to the community. So fair play to him. Don't think I could do that. Having that will to walk from one end of the UK to the other several times in all kinds of weather. It's absolutely incredible. And all that money. I mean, we shouldn't have to rely on charity to fix things that are broken, but that's where we are. And it's nice having people like that who are willing to go and push themselves beyond the limit just to be able to get some help for people. Potato Head with accessories. Now you're talking. Should get a 3D printer, really, shouldn't I? And then we'll print all our own accessories for him. Mr. Potato Head with a cowboy hat, baseball cap, massive glasses, false nose. A false nose and glasses like Humpty. Remember him, the rapper? Doing a Humpty Hump. Level 1 is one eye. Could be. How many eyes do potatoes normally have? And are they any good at making you see, like carrots? And why do carrots always get the glory rather than potatoes? Samurai sword, Mandy? No, I don't think I'm giving away a samurai sword. Oh, what do you mean for Mr. Potato Head? That's a different thing. Yeah, not getting arrested for sending samurai swords through the post just because someone leveled up in Botrix. That's not happening. Steve, Ollie Harrison, farmer from Widnes. The charity tractor run. Yeah, I've seen that. I didn't know his name. I've definitely seen the charity tractor run around Liverpool for the kids' hospital, Alder Hay, and I've seen him. I've actually seen the tractors going around Liverpool while I've been in work. Yeah, people like that are absolutely fantastic. There's loads of them as well. Not all of them get the same kind of, with adulation or credit as like Speedo Mick's been on national TV to talk about what he's done. But there'll always be people like Ollie who do this constantly. And my daughter was talking about it when she worked at the weekend. the taxi drivers in Liverpool always have this charity that they do, where they go out fundraising and they'll do a drive to try and raise as much cash as possible. And they went to the fair where she works down by the front, and she was dealing with them. She said there was so many of them. There's taxis parked absolutely everywhere, and they take people out. They'll take kids out, raise loads of cash. So it's stuff like that. Again, that'll be in the Echo. They won't tell you exactly how much money they've made for people or what a difference that makes. But I think if more of us were like that, we'd be in a better place. Small things can make a huge difference to people. I don't think everyone realises that you don't have to go out of your way. You don't have to be raising millions of pounds to make a difference. If you can, more power to you. But just the small things that can make a huge, huge difference. Just helping one person. Even stupid things like smiling at someone, saying hello, asking how they are. You'd be surprised how much of a difference that can make to people. Someone can be having a bad day and just one person smiling at them can give them a bit of a boost. So don't keep that to yourself. Daniel, how you doing, mate? You alright? Again, wrong side of the cameras, always feels weird. But yeah, those silly little things, talking to people. And we don't know if someone's in a bad mood or had a bad day. Again, go back to the pub. When I was working behind the bar, I was such a pain in the arse behind that bar. For me, that was my stage. I always felt like it was a stage and I was performing. I can do loads of accents, I can do impressions. I'd be doing all kinds of stupid things, telling jokes, constantly up and buzzing, because I loved it. And then one day someone came in and said, "What's wrong with you, you miserable bastard?" I went, "Oh, my nan died this morning." And I'd never seen anyone, the face dropped completely. He went, "I didn't realise, I'm sorry." "Don't worry about it, mate, you didn't know." But you never know what someone's going through, so don't just say, "Oh, miserable." Ask. You might just say, "Oh, I'm in a bit of a bad mood," or "I didn't sleep well." And anything I can do for you? Do you want a cup of coffee? Anything? Right, Steve. Ollie Harris knows YouTube channel. He's got a YouTube channel. He's raised nearly 50 grand for the local air ambulance. That's fantastic. That gets used quite a lot round here. Unfortunately, the air ambulance. Lancashire, Merseyside, and don't suppose it'll go as far as like Greater Manchester, which isn't that far up the road, to be honest. Wigan's just round the corner. The air ambulance, because there's loads of farmlands and there's huge distances in between towns and little villages and what have you, the air ambulance gets used a hell of a lot. And I know most of that is, or most or all of it is down to charitable donations, same as the lifeboats. So people have to make sure we're supporting these things. The government should be supporting them. You know, I don't know why they don't. It wouldn't be a huge thing for them to just spend a little bit of money on them. But the fact that we have to raise money for them, it has to be done. It's got to be there. It's got to be something that is there and is available because people do need it. Yes, Daniel, it is the Medivac, the ambulance, air ambulance. It's just a helicopter that will land in the middle of nowhere. It's landed. I mean, I live over the road from the hospital where I went to, but there's been people that have been knocked over. Kids have been knocked over by my nephew's old school, and they've had to be air ambulanced away from here to Alder Hay because it's sort of quick life or death. Get them to Alder Hay now, otherwise they're knackered. They can't wait for an ambulance to turn up and drive them. And all that is funded by charitable donations. It's not funded by the government or local government. It's all fundraising. Same as the lifeboats. We've got a huge history, very rich tradition of having lifeboats all around the UK, going out and helping people in distress. They're being used as a political football at the moment, obviously, with people, Nigel Farage and his mates, trying to stop the small boats coming over the channel. And they're trying to use the lifeboats as that political football. The lifeboats are not into politics. If anyone's in trouble at sea, they have a duty to go and help them. I think we as a nation, as a seafaring nation, we have a duty to help the lifeboats. Again, this goes back to living in Middlesbrough. We used to go to Redcar quite a lot, to the beach there, and there was a huge place about. I don't know if it was a museum or a little area to go and see about the lifeboat. I know there's a lifeboat station there, so they must have had a little historical thing about it. That was the first time I really learned about it, how important it is. Fishermen off the north east coast, the North Sea can be an absolutely horrible place to be. When it's in a bad mood, it's in a bad mood. I know I've been on the ferry to the Netherlands and back from Hull to Europort in Rotterdam. And it used to be night crossings, 13-hour night crossings. And when it was gale force and it was in a real bad way, it was horrific. I would hate for anyone to be stuck in there, freezing cold, massive waves, and have no one to help. So I think we need to make sure that we're behind these people. And fair play to them. Anyone who will get in a boat and go out and try and help someone who's already capsized and is in trouble because the weather's so bad and the waves are so bad, and they're voluntarily going out there. Fair play. People like that, firemen or fire people, anyone who wants to do a job like that, fair play to you. That takes some minerals to do that, mate. I'm telling you. It is weird that it's dependent on charity. I don't know why that is. If anyone can tell me, I'm none the wiser, but it is. I didn't realise, Steve, that they've got a monthly lottery draw, which is where they get a lot of the cash from the air ambulances. That makes sense. Suppose they've got to come up with novel ways of raising money, and charity buckets are one thing, but if you get a chance to give someone the opportunity to win money as well, they're more likely to put a few quid in. But we've got the national lottery, which must be making an absolute mint. Can that not be used to fund a little bit more? The government should be funding more stuff like this anyway. I know we've got our national insurance that we pay, which doesn't get you dental work. It's now getting to the point where it's not getting you any health at all, any health work. So why are we paying it? And where's it going to? Must be going somewhere. But yeah. Why is the world so broke? Shouldn't be. Things that should be easy seem to be the most difficult thing on earth to do. Just go and help people who are struggling. That seems to be beyond us. Whereas other things don't appear to be beyond us. Again, not getting too political, but I'm sure we can see things that the magic money tree that doesn't exist suddenly exists. War, jeez. There never seems to be an issue with it. Or we can't afford to go to war, or we can't afford to drop bombs on people because there's just no magic money tree that suddenly appears when there's a chance to bomb rocks into sand in the Middle East. We're there, aren't we? I think it's possibly our government and the US government are the two worst for it, but obviously there's people in charge who are tied to the war industry, and the more war there is, the more bombs are used, the more bullets are used, the more money those companies make, the more money the people in charge make, and it goes round and round and round. Something needs to change. I mean, money, what use is money? In and of itself, money is of no use, genuinely. And that thing, I don't know where it was from, but if you were on a boat that was sinking, and like there's two of you, one of you saved all the money that you had, and the other one saved all the food, water, clothes, building materials. Which one's rich when you get to the deserted island? It's not the one with money, because you can't eat money. You can't use money as a shelter. You might be able to burn it to keep you warm, but that's it. That's the only use it is. The person with all the stuff that you really need to survive, that is rich at that point. We do need to get to that point in humanity where we realise money is just a trick at times, but in and of itself it's no use. Rich people are the ones who've got the abundance of what they need in life, and poor people are the ones who don't have that, and it's nothing to do with money. People in Africa are not poor because they've got no money. They're poor because they're starving, they've got no food, they've got no shelter, they've got no water. That's what makes you poor. We need to fix this. So when I become super intergalactic emperor of the universe, as well as getting rid of het and de from Dutch and die der and das from German, I'll be changing the rest of the world as well. Money will no longer be the root of all evil. Well, it still will be, but I'll be able to sort it out at that point. I'm not having it. I'm not having it. Vote for Pedro. Yes, Lizzie. Murdochs. How on earth has Rupert Murdoch managed to get to that age? Evil. Absolutely evil. So many young lives lost that could have took his place and have been less evil. The world would have been less evil. There's a few people like that. Needs to stop, man. Needs to stop. Stop being greedy. How much money do these people need? Oh, it's not even money, is it? I mean, Elon Musk, world's richest man. I don't think he's even rich. Genuinely. That's why he had to borrow money to buy Twitter, because he hasn't got money. But he's got his stock in Tesla, which he keeps using as leverage. But he's probably got a few million in the bank and what have you, but I don't think people like that are actually rich. It's just numbers on a piece of paper, and it's stocks and shares. And if the whole thing, stock market and the shares plummeted, they'd have whatever money they've got left in the bank, but they wouldn't have anything. It's just not actual money, is it? And if you're a billionaire, how many billions do you actually need? Come on. What can you do with 100 billion that you can't do with 1 billion? Genuinely, apart from go out and buy aircraft carriers and things like that, you know. Stupid. How's Patrick's getting on? Is it? Hang on. Am I telling myself that I've just leveled up to level 1? This is proper random meta stuff, this, isn't it? I'm telling me that I've leveled up to level 1. I'm not even in the chat. Botrix, you are weird. Bot levels up quicker than Mandy. Yes, quite possibly, but then again, Bot really is sort of an extension of me, isn't he? Doesn't he deserve to improve himself? Is the thing in life. Yes, are the 8 richest people have the same money as half the world population? That's not right. These people didn't get rich on their labour at all. Billionaires don't become billionaires because they work harder than anyone else. They get rich because they exploit the workers. I mean, Jeff Bezos, whatever you want to call him, Amazon. It's the biggest distribution and purchasing place on earth now. But if you ever look at some of the conditions that the people are in, that's the only way he's making money. It's not good. Yeah. He has, hasn't he, Rupert Murdoch, the US, the UK and Australia. That's 3 massive parts of the world. His own personal politics. How can one man have so much power? Especially in the UK. He's an Australian man living in America and a US citizen, and he's telling the UK public how to vote. What's it got to do with him, and why do we think that he knows better than anyone else? Vile man. He makes Monty Burns and The Simpsons look like Mother Teresa. Mind you, Mother Teresa was a bit of a girl as well, wasn't she? Not all sweetness and light. Yep, nobody works hard enough to earn €1 billion. Definitely not. Definitely not. Um, well, maybe they do. I mean, the nurses that were looking after me in the hospital, they work as hard as anyone I've ever seen. There'd be people in coal mines working in horrible conditions and working very hard. Who deserves €1 billion more, them or someone just sat in an office saying exploit that group of people, exploit that group of people? It's for me, it's quite obvious. And the ones who get the money are the ones who are trying to stop the ones who deserve the money from ever getting it. Which is why you've got Rupert Murdoch in his papers saying that the nurses that we've got here on strike are enemies of the people. They're not. I mean, I work in the civil service. We had a 10-year pay freeze, no pay increases at all, to try and pay back the 2008 crash, where the bankers were gambling with other people's money. And then we had to bail them out. That's socialism when you help other people. It's all right when you're doing it for them, but not when you're doing it for the good of everyone else. None of them went to jail for it. And we just carried on as if nothing had happened. And we as workers, 10-year pay freeze in that time, bankers, even though banks were losing money, they were still getting multi-million-pound bonuses. I always thought bonuses were if your company did well, you got a bonus for doing well. There was banks that were making millions and millions of pounds of losses, and yet they were still paying shareholders money, and they were still paying the CEOs and the top executives a £4 or £5 million bonus for losing money. I don't get it. But we, as frontline staff, weren't allowed a pay rise because somehow we had to pay this deficit back. Nah, mate, doesn't work that way. Yep, the water companies, it's all just corruption in the UK at the moment needs to be seen to be believed. I reckon the mafia are watching this and thinking, you know what, these are cheeky, even we wouldn't do that. Some of the stuff that goes on is absolutely ridiculous. Oh, sorry, Joe, I didn't see that. Didn't see it in there at all. Been and gone, but there you go. We need the aliens to step in. Just noticed that, Steve. Yes, we do. Or a comet. There's days where I'm sat here, I'm thinking, come on, one's going to hit at some point. Just do it now. End everything. Let's just get to restart for the world. And then, you never know. Then the monkeys might take over and do a better job than we are. Can't do a worse job, can they? All gone a bit Ben Elton there, haven't I? A little bit of politics. I need to stop doing that because I do get on my high horse with politics. Obviously, being a Scouser, I'm from a very left wing city, and my granddad being a docker. My granddad, poor fellow's dead now, but I used to spend quite a lot of time in the pub with him when I was young, just having a few beers and chatting about life in general. And it's when you speak to people like that who worked during the 50s and 60s, people that were sort of war babies or were just around when the war was happening, who had to work ridiculously hard to get anything. And then if they saw what was happening now, I think my granddad would be going absolutely ballistic about the greed and going to a day's work like he used to do. Then you deserve your pay, not just sat in an office doing sod all like I do. But I moan about it because I think we do deserve more money compared to what the private sector get. We always used to have better pay than the private sector. Worse pay, but a better long-term pension plan. And then we got told that we were earning too much, but the private sector was always ahead, and it went further and further ahead. And when we pointed it out, they go, "Oh no, that's just market forces." Brilliant, we'll pay us what we deserve. But to be honest, I am quite lucky that my job I can do sat here at my desk I can go into the office and sit at the desk. You know, I can have my own flexi time. I can come and go as I please. I'm not doing a manual job where I'm exhausted at the end of the day, and I'm not struggling. Self-employed where I'm trying to find work to do. I get paid no matter what happens, so I'm thankful for that. I'm thankful that I've done labouring in the past and work where I'm humping and dumping stuff for builders, filling skips. I know, I don't want to say difficult, but by the end of the day, you were covered in shite, you were knackered. You wanted a pint, and then you wanted to just go to bed and collapse. I miss some of those days actually. Feel like you've earned your money. Although working with Mick and Mick, the two Micks, only one of which is with us now, unfortunately. Some of the funniest days of my life working with them. We used to work for a chemist. Whenever he was having a refurb in one of his chemist shops, we'd end up going in and just tearing the place apart. We're in one in Birkenhead, and it had a couple of old cellars full of stuff, and he said that now's the time that we're doing everything, we'll sort of rip the whole place out, get rid of anything that's in the cellars. So we got a skip, and we just filled it with all kinds of stuff that we shouldn't have been putting in there, to be honest with you. And the fella come and picked the skip up and got halfway down Balls Road in Birkenhead, and the back of the skip exploded. There must have been chemicals in there that shouldn't have been together, and yeah, blew up. He had to take the skip back to the place that he was going to, and he buried it, and it was still smouldering days after. And he come to drop another skip off for us. He was virtually stammering, because it was such a. He thought he had a blowout, or one of his tyres had blown out, and when he looked back, there was flames everywhere and like pink smoke or something. Just absolutely lunatic. I didn't see Lily in Birkenhead back then when I was doing that. She'd have been in London, but we did see. We went for a pint in the. I can't remember the name of the place now. It's an absolute dive on the Cross in Birkenhead, and the WWE, a sort of a cheap knockoff version of the WWE, must have been doing a couple of nights there, and all these massive wrestlers came in for something to eat and a few beers and what have you. So there was loads of little skinny, jug-eared bagheads, local Birkenhead smack rats, heroin addicts trying to sell PS1 games and batteries and cheese and jars of coffee and what have you to fund the habits. Yeah, them, the North Face ninjas, what we used to call them, all wearing black and the hoods up and the faces covered. Them and these massive muscular fellas. It was such a weird thing. If anyone walked in, why is this place full of little smack rats and massive oiled up Americans? Just bizarre. Birkenhead's like that though, if you get the chance to go. It is some of the most insane stuff you could ever see, including an exploding skip on the Balls Road. Louise, welcome. Are you lime green? No, grey on mine. Yeah, Birkenhead really is mad. We did a bit of work over there, and it always seems to be. It's always teetering on lunacy, Birkenhead. And there's a few places in Liverpool that are like that. We're in Green Lane in Shoebrook, in a pub again. There's a pub involved at all times. It was one of those afternoons having a few beers before going back home after finishing a really shitty job. And there's people coming in selling stuff like there always is. People coming in selling clothes, not shell suits, but trackies and what have you. And there's a fella selling half a sheep, half a frozen sheep. Now I don't know how you're supposed to get half a frozen sheep home. Where do you put it when you get home? But yeah, did anyone want to buy half a frozen sheep? What? What are you on about, lad? Yeah, well, again, I miss those days. Mick and Mick, two absolute lunatics. I think all it did for those years that I was working with them, we'd get in the van of a morning, early hours, and laugh. We'd laugh on site. We'd laugh driving to where we were going to. We'd laugh driving home. We'd laugh in the pub. And then I'd see them at the weekend when they come into our pub for a pint, and we'd just laugh then. Brilliant, those days. Never seemed to be much of an issue. No problems, nothing to worry about. No big stresses or strains. Just go and help your mates out. Get a few beer tokens and laugh. Proper good old days. Anyway, I've whittled on for more than an hour, so I think I will give you your night back. Thank you very much for joining me. I love doing this. I didn't realise I would, but I do. Nick really is that needy, as Patrick said. It's great spending time with wonderful people. Yes, with my dulcet tones. Even my daughter said that the other day, funnily enough. Her mates were saying that I've got a nice, soothing voice, which obviously I'm not shouting at them. Not that I shout at my daughter. I mean, come on. But yeah, thank you for joining me. I will try and make sure that I schedule the next one a little bit earlier than this. Not earlier than the night, but I only give you a couple of hours notice. I'll try and give you a bit more next time so that you can tell me if it's right, wrong, or you can tell me to F off or whatever you need to do. But thank you very much. It's been fabulous as always. I'll see you in the RDA chat very soon. Thank you for coming. Don't forget to hit like on the way out because I'm so needy. Like me. Cheers. See you later.